And the lab worksheet from yesterday, it's titled Elbow Room. Joseph, you won't have that worksheet. It's over in the Tuesday folder. Nope, it's the science one that says elbow room. Yeah. You should get to that. Looks like this. Should be in your science tab. Yep, good. Yep, that one. It should have the graph attached to it that we graphed yesterday on populations. And once you have all of those items out, using pages 11 through 16 in your science book, you're going to go through and add at least 2 new facts into your Cornell notes using your red pen or colored pencil. Has to be red.
Okay.
Okay, so adding. Yep. That's fine. Thank you for those who are doing it quietly. Adding 2 things to your Cornell notes. Okay, so then you're just going to add 2 things from pages 11 to 16. Okay, so adding 2 things to your Cornell notes from pages 11 to 16. There's your science notes, Cornell notes. Page 11. Okay, so 11 to 16. You're looking for 2 things to add to your notes. Yeah, 11 to 16. Those were our populations. I want you to go through and look for anything that you think we might have missed. I'm going to put you in for the notes on carrying capacity. Yes. The what? The Cornell notes that we took on. The last thing we took notes on was the limiting factors and carrying capacity. So you're going to add to those notes using red pen. 2 new facts that you have found. Looking for your lab. Should be in your science tab. Did you not put it in your science tab? There you go. Or did you add 2 things into your notes? So you're going to find 2 things from pages 11 to 16 to add into your notes. About 1 more minute. Okay, I'd like you to turn to your neighbor and share one thing that you added to your notes. I know you added two, but just share one thing that you added.
Cold spring season.
I added number of death and population increase.
Got about 10 more seconds. Okay, what's one thing that you shared that you added to your notes? Parker? Okay, cold spring seasons can. Okay, so if you didn't have an opportunity to get one written down, this would be one that you could add. Preston?
I said members of an anthill family may wander off the surface of the
Okay, so members, I'm going to shorten that up a little bit, may move. He said to find.
better grass.
Abbreviate and say better food. Allie?
Number of deaths per 1,000 individuals for a given time period, population may increase.
Okay, so number of deaths per, will you repeat that again, please?
Per 1,000 individuals for a given time period, population may increase.
May increase. Okay, Jack?
If there is an equal amount of birth rate and death rate, population will stay the same.
Okay, so if we have the equal amount of birth rate and death rate, the population will stay the same. Okay, so what we're going to be specifically talking about are some of the vocabulary words that we have been learning. So we've been talking about carrying capacity and population density. And what's the difference between those two? Because they're kind of similar, but they're different. So what's the difference between carrying capacity and population density? Jordy?
Carrying capacity is the largest population that an area can support.
Okay, so the largest number that an area can support. And I think someone said that it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant, you say like only 115 people can be here. That's kind of like the carrying capacity. Okay, and then compared to population density, what's that, Emma?
The number of individuals.
The number of individuals.
To be more specific and like what size it can be.
Okay, so the number of individuals per whatever square mile or square foot or whatever area that we're talking about. Okay, and we have been talking about different ways that organisms can leave and enter a population. And what would be one of those ways? Jameson?
Immigration.
Immigration?
Immigration.
Emigration. So immigration and emigration, those are two different. What other?
Death.
Death? Birth. Okay, so those are the four ways that they enter or exit a population. Okay, and what is a limiting factor? That's what we talked about yesterday. What is a limiting factor? Sammy?
Food.
So that's an example of a limiting factor, but what is a limiting factor?
Oh, a limiting factor is a factor that decreases or stops the size of a population.
Okay, so it's what's going to cause a population to stop or to decrease. So one of those examples is food. What would be another example of a limiting factor, Allison?
Space.
Space. Tegan?
Water,
Water.
sunlight,
Sunlight.
weather.
Weather. I think that was all. That was all five, right?
Yep.
Predators, diseases, those are, they fall into a general category. Okay? So specifically, we're going to be looking at one of those limiting factors today, and we're going to be looking at space. So I can explain why space is a limiting factor. Okay? And what I would like for you to do is to talk about what that means. What is space as a limiting factor? What does that mean? So I'm going to be turning to your neighbor and talk about what does space as a limiting factor mean.
So, like with plants, things to grow, there's like a lot of
Okay, so this is the most space that we have.
and they overlap and they don't get enough sunlight.
Yeah, like 50. Yep.
Like 10
Got about 10 more seconds.
So this is 10 meters. It's not 10 meters. Like then baby deer, they travel.
Go ahead and wrap up those conversations. Okay, and what does explain why space is a limiting factor? What does that mean?
It means there's only a certain amount of people or things in that space.
Okay, so only a certain amount of people or things, whatever it may be, can be in that space or area.
Like the offspring by like if there's like a pack of deer and a few of the lady deers have offspring, then like they could get trampled or like not get enough food in the space provided.
Okay, you threw out a couple of factors there, though. You said food and so space is just a specific area.
Like if there's too many people in one area.
Too many people in one area. Okay, and so why would it be important for us to talk about space as a limiting factor? Why would that be an important thing that we would need to learn about? I'm going to be turning to a neighbor and share that. Okay, so shelter for animals. What else would trees be that have more space?
They also provide oxygen, so during
That.
they need to count trees are in certain areas.
There we go. Yeah, that's multiple examples. Good job. Okay, go ahead and wrap up those. So why would it be important to learn about space being a limiting factor? Why would that be an important thing to talk about in science? Why would we need to consider that? Jacob?
So it's enough space for like everyone.
Yeah, for all organisms. Space is going to be something we're going to have to consider, whether that be building houses, planting trees or other plants.
So like if you have a fish and it requires a 12-gallon tank, but you only have a 4-gallon tank, you're not going to be able to get that fish if you have a 4-gallon tank because it's going to be too big, and then the fish is just going to be uncomfortable. It's gonna be like,
Yeah, so that's another example. Allison, did you have one too?
If you're like in the future, if you have a job and you need to measure the right space.
Yeah, being able to actually measure exact space. So yeah, so learning about space, and again, I keep saying space, and for some of you, I want us to remember, I know we just finished our space unit, so we're not talking about outer space. Okay, we're talking about a physical amount of space. Okay, it is important to learn for, exactly, if you want a certain kind of fish, and you have to have a certain, like a huge tank for that, okay, that might be an issue that you may have to reconsider. Okay? So what we're going to be doing today is go ahead and slide your lab sheet in front of you. So we're going to be looking at a quick lab today that's going to simulate how space can be a limiting factor. So we already have step 1 done, which is marking off several 1-meter squares on the floor. Thank you for those that helped with that. Okay, and what we are going to do is I'm going to split you up into groups. Okay, and your group is going to be required to stay inside of your square. Okay, inside of that square, you are going to be given a task that you need to complete as a group. Okay, Amari? Another copy, it's on the Tuesday folder.
How many people?
So the groups range from 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Okay, so the least amount of people in a group is going to be 2. The most is going to be 6. Okay, we have to make some adjustments because people are absent today. Okay, so again, you are going to be inside of your square. Okay, you are not going to be able to step out of it, to put your hand down on the ground, to touch a wall or table, to help yourself. You have to stay inside of your square. Okay, we're gonna get there. Okay, so what your group is going to be required to do is to put together a 24-piece puzzle. Okay?
This is gonna be so fun.
It is. Okay, so in your square, okay, your team will be building your puzzle down on the carpet. Okay? And when you are finished, you're going to look up to the board because I'm going to have a timer running, our timer we use for rock math. Okay? And so what you will do is when you finish, okay, you'll have to remember the time that your group finished. And then you'll let me know and I'll record it up on the board. Okay? Once you are finished, you'll need to take your puzzle pieces and put them back in the box and bring it to me, and then go back to your seat. Okay? What I don't want to see, you're not going to be by other groups, be like, their foot's outside the box, Miss Hill and their foot's outside the box. Okay, that's my job, I can do that, thank you. Okay? You're not going to be helping other groups, you're just going to return your puzzle and go back to your seat. Okay? Now, so questions about what happens if I step out of the box, okay, I have to lean against the wall, okay? You're going to have to add 30 seconds to your time. Okay? Because you're only allowed to be inside of your space. Okay, Amari?
So every time you're out of the box, it's another 30 seconds.
Yes. Okay, so if I step out of the box 2 times, how much time am I adding? If I step out of it 2 times, it's a minute. Okay? You may not open up your puzzle pieces and start until I say go. Okay? What questions might you have about what your task is?
What if one of the puzzle pieces fall out of the box? I mean, like outside of your meter box.
It shouldn't. If it does, then you can call me over and I'll pick it up for you.
Okay.
Other questions? Jacob?
Are you going to be following?
Yes, I already have the groups designed. Okay. Group 1 right here. Allie and Anna.
That's it? Rocky?
That's so cheap.
Jordy, Sammy, Jameson. Parker, Brandon, Tegan, Jack. Amari, Samantha, Casey, Sunny, Didiri, Emma. Alyssa, Jason, Mia, Allison, Jacob, Brayden. And then Preston and Joseph, you're in the front box. Don't open your boxes yet. Don't open the boxes yet.
We're like Allie again.
Okay, I need you to double check that all feet are inside of your... Inside. Okay, we're going to ask that you're honest, and if your foot or hand goes out, that you make sure you tell me. Otherwise, if I see it, I will do it for you. Your time starts now.
You're pushing me. Your foot is This is so good. Now we have 30 seconds.
Oh, this is all about
You can do it.
Oh, this is that.
I like how I'm so tiny that
We're about to
Brayden, that's 30 seconds.
there's 2 fishes. Look at the box.
It's okay if your foot steps on the line, it just can't go over the tape line.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's okay. You can step on the tape line.
You can step on the tape
You
line.
can step on the tape line, just not over.
That's hurts my knees though.
This is what's
Okay, I got a corner. This is the corner. You can tell people. No, this is a box. This is the corner. Yeah. Okay. So here, I have a corner. Oh, okay. Starting. Yeah, I'm doing it louder. Right. Alright. Upper left corner. We're trying to. So I'll use guided. Okay, working on the because this is the way it goes. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Everybody find the corner space. Got it. What?
total.
Yes.
I'm supposed to sit.
I got it.
I'm small.
Sit back, you still have space. There you go.
This is a fish. That has to be like a square. That has to be like a part. Did I just get Does this go together?
I found somewhere near the tail.
3 minutes, 38 seconds.
What minute?
Oh
You're
my
fine.
God, I nearly jumped out.
That's an eyeball. This goes in.
I'm gonna start mashing the plant.
No, I lost my leg.
How many?
I didn't have I can actually lean out like this. Oh my God, I'm about to fall.
Okay, here's a shit. I don't know.
And you stayed for 30 seconds.
4 minutes.
Let me talk to you.
Did you just finish?
Is this like a fish or something?
Yeah, put it back in the box.
Here,
Is this going?
Yeah, I can't reach.
I like puzzles.
Thank you. Let me get back to your seats.
Whoa, what?
So we're a minute ahead.
Yeah, this is what it looks like.
Wait, the back is a head. Wait, it has 5 heads? I'm a second.
No, there's 2 fishes.
There's 2.
How long is it?
Oh
Thank
my
you.
god.
We're about to do one. I need the pictures to like. This is the second.
Yeah,
fish.
see, that's
For number 2, if you want to start clocking down.
4 minutes, 45 seconds.
Oh, I got
I can't hit right. Or just 30 seconds.
I just did from 2 to 2 for 3 for 5.
This is the back of it.
5 seconds.
my calves hurt. Wait, the head is down.
No, sorry.
I did something right.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
We're done.
5:23.
Okay, now our work is done. 5:23. Oh my god. Bye-bye.
I was in that for a second. I just...
Need some circulation.
Oh, this one's
Yeah, that's fine. You are free. Head back to your seats. And then down.
Look at the clock.
It was 5:50, I had 30. 5 there.
The time penalty, right? So what's your
6:20.
6?
You did it. My eyes hurt. My legs hurt. We're at the bottom.
It's because you're the group of 6. You may now step out of the box, and I need the puzzle to be put back, and then you may head back to your seats once the puzzle is returned.
so many guys.
That took so much time.
My legs hurt so bad.
Do we have to use rice noodles?
No, we're gonna do those together, or some of them together.
Oh, I got this spot.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That makes sense. Oh my gosh, you're good at this.
We're only doing number 2 right now.
Did I do it? Oh my god.
How does that?
Hey, no, that doesn't fit.
Here, I need your lab sheet out. So for those of you that are finished, on your lab sheet for number 2, it's going to ask you about times. We're going to need to record. And by groups, this is like group of 2, group 3.
Got it.
Oh, I thought you were. Work?
Only did one.
My legs.
Got it.
The new
You finished?
No.
I needed.
Oh.
Oh, found it. You did? Yes. No.
You can't fit it.
We have to take turns squatting.
You're starting number 2 with just recording down what scores we have.
I got a stamp. Oh, that's a 2 fish.
Okay, so this fish.
Yeah, we're starting with number 2. How long did it take?
If you broke that, it could be so dirty. And then you're going to eat you. Oh, great. I'm going to use these to share.
No, you're going to record everybody's time once we have.
No, but you're the one who's just sitting there. Because you won't do anything. Jordan, you're about to push me out.
Yep. No, it's fine. It's alright, keep on.
Why is there?
Because I had 2 squares with 2 people.
Stand.
Okay, I can scoot over.
I can get it.
Finish!
Put it in. Something that goes in the middle of these two.
You need to put that back into the box.
Found it. Yes. These people. Once we get that done, we can actually. What minute? I don't see any other fish ponds. Right here. Eyes, this. Yeah, but no. It goes forward down, 6 across. There's some plant under it. See? Look. This is bigger than the picture.
There you go.
Does that work? Like the last one.
That's right. Yeah. Keep going.
No? Yeah. Push!
It doesn't have to fit exactly. Like, that's good. You don't have to force it.
Don't force it. Don't force
Look at
it.
you guys.
It's not gonna fit. This doesn't fit. We're done.
We're got it.
We're forcing it.
How many penalties did you have?
What?
I counted 1.
So they had 1. That's a lot. Maybe this one. Yes, this one.
Okay, you need to step outside of the box, and then I need you to put the puzzle back.
I got it. I got it.
Wait,
I'm kidding.
I like how I'm the one who did the dishes too.
It depends on what we can get through.
I like how I'm the one who mostly did the dishes.
yes. Okay, I go away. I got the eyepiece. Before I pass.
Oh, I can't go through the middle.
Again, for those of you that are heading back to your seats, you can start recording the scores for number 2 on your worksheet.
Where'd you put that?
I like how yeah, I literally do this in my face. No, I do.
Got it. Okay, then yeah, now how's it gonna work? It's not gonna. It's right there. Where's the mouth? The mouth is already on it. Oh.
If you did not yet have those times recorded, go ahead and start recording. That's fine. I left that one blank.
Done. Last group. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and just leave that right there and we'll get that later. Okay, so again, on your lab sheet, you could have written it a little bit different, but the numbers I circled are the number of people in a group. So 2 people per group, 3 people. Yep. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. In case you didn't close up the book. Okay, so what do you notice when we look at our numbers here? What can we say about our set of information? Allison?
The less people in a group, the faster we go.
Okay, so generally the less people you have in a group, the faster you would go. Okay, is that always the case though? No. Because what could you say about, like, this group finished pretty fast and they had the most. So what could you say, Sunny, about that group?
It depends on who's in the group.
Okay, it could depend on who's in the group. Emma?
How many people are like doing the puzzle? If only 2 people are doing it, then it could go slower. But if more people are
Yeah, if all 6 people were helping, then that could speed up the process. Okay? So what I want you to answer on question 1 is, how does this activity model that space can be a limiting factor? So think about how it was to work inside of your 1 meter square, and how does that represent space, and how that either could be beneficial or not beneficial. How did this lab show that space is a limiting factor? You do not. Nope. Just, I would appreciate complete sentences. You should be writing, not talking. Yes. Okay, how does this activity show that space is a limiting factor? What did you write down? Allie?
It shows that if you have a bunch of people in little space, there isn't very much that you can do.
Okay, so more people in small space. You said it hard to do?
There's little you can do.
Okay, and if we were to look at carrying capacity for our square meters. So remember, carrying capacity is how many space can sustain successfully. What would be, if you were to look at our numbers, what would be our carrying capacity for this project we did?
6.
Okay, and why would we say 6? Emma?
That's the highest amount of people.
Yeah, if you were to think about, especially the groups in groups of 6, would you have been able to fit a 7th person? Probably not. Okay? So in nature then, what happens to organisms that are unable to carry out their activities? That space becomes an issue. What's one possible end result for them?
They leave.
Okay, so and what would be the vocabulary word for leave?
They disappear. Emigrate.
Okay, so they could emigrate or leave. Casey? Okay, that is considered a limiting factor. Okay, if space does become an issue, then that could be one of the results. So, what we're going to do for your science homework tonight is you're going to write one paragraph using the race strategy, and you're going to answer, in your opinion, is space a limiting factor for plants, animals, and humans? Why or why not? Okay, so you're going to do this on a separate piece of paper, which we'll get out in just a moment. Okay, and I want to go over again our rubrics. I know you guys have been using the race strategy for ELA and social studies, so I want to go over the rubric and what that's going to look like. So in order to have a 4, you have to restate the question, that's what the R stands for, answer the question, cite your source, your sources. What sources could you use for this? Allie?
Science book.
Okay, so I'll tell you, you have pages, I think it's
11 through 17.
11 through 16. Where else could you cite sources from? Okay, I'm going to say Cornell Notes / journal. Sammy?
Your own experience?
You could use the experience of the lab today. Okay, and then you have to explain how the evidence supports the answer. So in order to get a 4, you have to do the CE 3 times. Okay? A 3 is the 2 citations, so 2 CEs. 2 is you just go through the race once. And then a 1 is you don't have all parts of that race strategy. You may restate an answer but not cite or explain. Okay? So I want to talk real quick about this right here. Okay? Most of you, in all of your race paragraphs that I have read and graded, okay, when you get to the site, all of you say according to. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's great, but in writing, we like to be a little bit more diversified in how we write. So we're going to look at some other ways to say according to.
For instance.
Okay, especially if you're doing a 4 and you say according to da 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 da, according to da 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 da, according to, and I have to read that for every single one of you. Okay, I think it's boring. I want to read something different. Okay, so some examples. You could say, for instance, on page or paragraph, it states. The author states. In science, it's really easy. If you look at our book, we have a lot of graphs. We have a lot of illustrations or pictures. You can use that as evidence. The graph, the illustration or graph shows. So when you are writing your paragraph tonight, I would like you to choose, you can still stick with according to, I would like you to choose a second option for your paragraph. So we're working on something a little, adding some different wording to our paragraphs.
You have to?
Yes.
Is it to be done on our science trip?
No, so you're going to do it on a separate piece of paper so that we can turn it in. I don't want you to rip it out of your journal. What questions do you have about either the rubric, the question you're answering, or your sentence starters? Yes?
We'll get time to work on it.
So you'll have time to work on it after lunch. I'll give you a little bit of time, at least to get the question written down, and then we'll start a math lesson.